Hello, sup with it? Welcome to Melee It On Me, episode 5. Okay, I have everything back. No. I played the right video!
I think you need to practice this in your room.
No, it's not that.
Practice.
I'm serious.
No,
it's not.
You gotta practice.
It's not my fault, dude. Like, I played the right video. Welcome, everybody. It is currently January 23rd, Wednesday as usual, 6 o'clock p.m. We are doing our 5th installment of our wonderful Melee podcast, and here to help us, here to discuss various things with us is Sheridan, Cactuar, and Prague. Sheridan, how's it going, my man?
Oh, you know, can't complain. I just had a nice ski weekend. Tore it up on those double black diamonds, so
amazing.
Pretty good.
Somebody has their stream on. I hear an echo.
It's probably me.
It probably is, if history is any indicator. Prague, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. Prepping for... I have a shoot next month with Pink Floyd cover band and with Andrea Bocelli, which I'm kind of hyped about. So
nice.
We'll see how that goes.
That's
also,
awesome.
I'm still in that Afterglow of last week's episode, so thanks to everyone that participated.
A well-earned shout-out.
Yes, thank you all.
Cactus, how you doing, man?
Dude, I'm so good. I'm trying to plug in these headphones right now, though, so give me a sec.
Okay, take your time.
Alright, I'm in.
Fantastic.
The Matrix. Alright.
Tell me about your life. Tell us what you were doing last week. We missed you desperately.
What was I doing last week? I was sick.
Ugh.
I was dying.
Ugh.
Something happened. Probably related to Apex. There was like a plague going around. I don't know.
I've heard one or two things about the A-Plague Pex.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that happened.
So today, and I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for asking.
We didn't.
Just no.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm really excited about this episode. So we're gonna keep it a bit tighter. We're gonna only do maybe an hour of our internal discussion. We have some awesome guests on the show tonight. FullMetal is gonna talk us through Apex 2013, and we're gonna have a few guests to talk about teams in Melee. How do we feel as a community with regards to teams? What ideally would we invest in teams? It's just a cool thing to talk about. Something that makes Smash a little bit different. So, without further ado, the first topic of our show tonight is, and I have a full screen view, Armada retiring. Oh my god! What is going on? So the post heard round the world, entitled in Armada's, very straightforward way, retire.
Retire.
It's a very eloquent man. Let me read this aloud to everyone. I guess this comes as a surprise for the most people in this community, but I'm done with Smash. This means Apex 2013 was the last tournament for me as a competitor. I will still go to / hold tournaments in Sweden because I love the community and I still love the game. But I do not feel any motivation to become a better player. And then, I think it's time to stop playing. That means I will not enter singles at any tournaments in the future, Beast included. Beast is in Sweden, his home country. I really want to make a great event of it, though, and will work hard for it. This is something I've been thinking about for a longer while, and even before Apex, I decided that Apex is my last tournament as a competitor, regardless of the outcome. I want to say thanks to all the people in this community, because you are awesome. I love you all. I don't expect everyone to be happy with me decision, but I hope everyone can at least accept and respect this. Good luck to all the people that is still competing in this game. Armada. So, we wanted to just go around the horn and talk about, what was your reaction to this post? Now, did everybody read it before just now, or is this the first anybody's hearing of it?
Yeah, I'd read it.
Well, then start us off, Sheridan. How did you feel when first reading this post?
Well, I don't know Armada personally very well. I was lucky enough to get to have a set with him in my third pool at Genesis 2, and it was very fun to play against. But he's always seemed to me to be a, sincere individual. So, again, I'm just very speculating on this, but this sounds like a person who seems pretty sincere and just wants to go out at the top of his game. And I think historically, the people who actually do quit tend to be the people who are at the top. And the people that say they're going to quit and then come back, those are all the, kind of the mid and low level players. So, I'm inclined to believe him.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to talk about Armada in case anybody doesn't know who he is, Armada is probably the best player in Melee right now. I mean, of course, before he retired. He won Apex 2012 and Apex 2013. Any other list of...
Genesis 2.
Won Genesis 2. And, in general, he's been beating top players for quite consistently for quite some time. So, fantastic competitor. And, right now, the champion of Melee. So, there's a big deal that he's retiring. Cactus, when's the last time... not when's the last time. What did you think when you read or just heard this post dictated to you?
I just heard it right now.
Well, I read it as best I possibly could, so...
No, I'm just kidding. I read it the other day. I mean, like Sheridan said, Armada is not really the type of individual that will say something and not go through with it. So, I mean, from that point of view, it's not something that I don't believe.
Yeah.
But my primary concern when I first read it was just how it would affect the other players at the top who were trying to contend for that position of best in the world against Armada. Because, I mean, there are some people on the forums who believe otherwise, but, I mean, the distance between him and some of the other top guys isn't so large that they wouldn't be able to compete with him, given the time. So, it is unfortunate that we're not going to see that, but, yeah. I mean, I've talked to PP about it already, and, I mean, he doesn't sound like he's lost any motivation at all to... I mean, he doesn't want to be the best in the world just because Armada dropped out. He wants to earn that position, so...
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to fight for it.
Cool to hear. Prague, how about you?
Of course, I was kind of shocked as well, just because it seemed really out of left field from him. But my main concern was, I guess, reading a few of the stories and just remembering, like, the first time I played him. And it's like, it doesn't matter who you were to Armada. If he remembered you, he would ask how you were doing. He remembered something about you. If you were low level, high level, it didn't matter. So he was a great ambassador to the community. And his presence will definitely be missed.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, the first time I read it, I was like, no, man, nobody quits Melee. But, since then, I've thought about it a good bit, and I think that his decision, just saying, like, okay, first of all, as a competitor, he's been, like, super amazing. He's traveled to the U.S., he's traveled to the U.S. every time we've seen him, which is a large financial commitment, and also he's had entire crowds cheering against him the whole time, right? And the way that he's kept his cool, the way that he's just kind of like, powered through and shown us what he's made of has been, like, really incredible. And he's, like, an amazing competitor. It's just, I have so much respect for him in that regard. And I think that the dedication that it takes, or rather the thought process from him, like, even the way that he said it, it was like, I don't have any motivation to keep being the best. And so that's it, I'm done. And I think, like, the thought process of just being like, listen, or the way that he plays the game in tournament, it's like, I'm going to stay in tip-top shape, and I'm going to do my best every time I enter a singles tournament. I'm going to always play to win, And then as soon as that mindset changes, singles tournaments are no longer appealing is really impressive, and I think that that's definitely the way that he should do it if that's how he feels. And I think that's super cool. So any comments on anything anybody else said?
Well, I totally agree that I think he's been everything you can ask for in a competitor.
Yeah. Just
in a real competitor in our scene, and I think if you don't feel that fire, then that's when you got to stop. Especially if you want to you want to hold yourself to that standard that you've set for yourself of being, having that competitive spirit.
Right.
So it kind of reminds me of Barry Sanders, who was one of the best, perhaps the best running back in the NFL of all time.
And
he retired at basically the peak of his career because he just didn't feel like the atmosphere around him was right, and he didn't feel like he could continue with his. He could hold himself to that competitive spirit that he'd been maintaining for such a long time.
Yeah, I think that definitely reflects how I feel. Anybody else? So I'd love to talk about how this affects Smash more generally. Cactus, you hit on how it affects PP, right, and how it affects him as one of the best players, right? His opponent in Grand Finals. But there are lots of other people at the top who, for them, Apex was their chance to beat Armada, and a lot of those people didn't get to play him. So what do we think about that? Anybody want to take it?
Well, if you want to beat him, you got to see him in the tournament bracket. And we can always say, yeah, I wasn't on that side of the bracket, but if you made it to winners finals, where a lot of people expect him to be, to grand finals, where a lot of people expect him to be, what about your opportunity? I kind of wish that a few more people did get to see him in bracket because, again, that tournament was just filled with so many opportunities. It was a dream bracket for, or at least like a dream tournament for any fan of the game. But, you have to be in that position in order to beat them, and unfortunately, those players that won that last shot weren't there, or they were there and weren't able to dethrone the king, I suppose.
It fell short.
Honestly, if we knew beforehand, we probably would have tried to push for an FC style end bracket, which was round robin between the top 8.
Yeah. So that's another thing that I think is really cool about Armada's decision, right? Like, he didn't want to say it before Apex. He didn't want to say it during Apex. He felt that he needed to say it after. And I have so much respect for that decision. It's like his mindset as a competitor is like so, razor focused. And it's like, I think laser would probably be a better word. It's like laser focused. He wanted this tournament to be, not affected by all of those ideas and, whatever attention he would get for it. And that's just like super impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. So let's go around the horn.
I know you think I remember talking to you earlier about this, and you expressed some more disappointment, with the retirement. So,
you want me to talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me start. I think the implications. Well, how about like my idea about? It's hard to say because it's hard to talk about the idea of the top players in the Melee scene and kind of divorcing it from Armada as a person. Our community is made up of distinct individuals, right? And if he doesn't want to be a part of the community in that way going forward, then it's his right to say that he doesn't want to, and he can do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's a person just like anybody else. That said, I would love to know, and he doesn't know anybody's explanation, but I'd love to talk to him and understand, like, why now? Is it that you feel like you don't have competition? Is it that you feel like it's not a good time personally in your life? There's different answers, and I think that if he feels that he's just the reigning champion, I whooped PP, it was no big deal, it's not worth flying out, you guys are scrubs, then I would want to challenge him and say, hey man, listen, this is 2013. There's a lot of momentum right now. EVO's probably is a great opportunity that we have a pretty reasonable chance of getting into, and you could be on the main stage at this gigantic tournament. You know, Genesis may or may not be the same plane ticket. You know, this is just a gigantic year for Melee, and also I would say to him, you didn't get to play M2K, you didn't get to play Mango, and of course, right, like you could just say, okay, they didn't beat PP and they didn't beat you know, each other or whatever, so they don't even deserve to play me. But that said, you know, I would say back to him, you know, okay, that's cool, but it doesn't mean that there's no competition out there. But again, right, that's not what he said. He did not say, hey, I'm quitting, you guys are scrubs.
Right.
He said, you know, I don't. My interpretation is I don't feel like staying in shape anymore. If I enter a singles tournament, it's going to be the best that I could possibly play. And since I'm not committed to that, I'm not interested in singles.
Yeah, I think that's probably more accurate.
Right. So the question becomes, why are you not committed anymore to staying in tip-top shape?
He probably, again, you know, don't want to put words in his mouth, but he's accomplished a lot, and he may not feel like he needs to, you know, prove more to everybody else. You know, he's proved enough to himself, probably. Yeah. So, you know, I think that's not the same thing as saying, you know, there's no competition, but it's saying, you know, he's done what he thinks he needs to do to, you know, consider himself, you know, a champion.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And I was talking to some people, and you know, I think my statements may have been mischaracterized. I don't know. I don't always say what I mean, and maybe I should work on that. But you know, I'm a bit of a fanboy as a Smasher. Like, you know, I've been diehard about many things. Like, I didn't believe that M2K wasn't the best in the world till, like, you know, 2 months ago, dude. I was on the M2K train since the beginning of 2007 till well after he had been defeated many times. You know, and kind of the same with Mango. So, as a fan and as a spectator, you know, I don't feel that I'm obligated to say that Armada is the best in the world. You know, there's fact, and then there's my biased opinion as, like, almost a sports fan. And I don't need to say that any team's better than my team. Like, I get to root for my team for however long I want. So, you know, if you ask me, like, does he need to prove anything to me? Like, he doesn't. But if he wants me and everybody in the world to say that he's the best in the world, which, by the way, is not a healthy attitude, and it doesn't seem that he subscribes to that, then he would not have achieved that.
Perhaps.
You would have to, like, destroy people very convincingly over and over for me to bend my arm hard enough for me to say, okay, you're the best. All right.
Right.
Hope springs eternal.
Well, I think, you know, moving forward now, what's going to be the storyline for, you know, the competition at the top now with Armada gone?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I would like to hear from you guys about that. So, I don't know, Prague,
how would you bill Evo and Genesis?
I love it. Like, honestly, if we just, you know, me being a Game of Thrones fan, just build this empty throne and all these different people trying to just seize it. You know, we have our Jon Snow, Unknown, the King of the North, Kirby Kaze, PP, Mewtwo King, Mango. Who's going to be that next breakout player? Will Hacks finally break the curse? Can Scar get in that hype train? Is Hungrybox in that position to finally do it once again now that Armada and then Young Link is out of the way? So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing he's leaving. You know, his presence will definitely be missed. But at the same time, there's so much going on. Like, this is a very, very interesting time for the Melee community. So.
Yeah. So I wonder though, how much of people's motivation close to the top was to beat Armada versus simply to win the tournament. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, Cactus, do you think there's much of a difference there? Do you think people were playing
Armada
more
rather than be the best in the tournament?
Yeah.
I mean, at the top, just because Armada has been a long-standing champion as far as the world scene goes, the guys in the top 5 are all gunning for Armada. They're not necessarily looking to play each other. They're seeing each other as obstacles on the path to playing him. So, I mean, what do you want to take out of that, though?
Well, I wonder whether we think, you know, this increases the fire for, you know, for the top level, you know,
I think it's all about each of them as individuals, how they choose to process this information. Because really, you don't get to be best in the world by default. Just because PP got second at Apex doesn't mean that he's the interim champ. You have to beat everybody else convincingly going forward. You can't just say that, oh, you get it now, you're the champ, just because Armada isn't there. So, again, it depends on how they interpret it individually, but their goal at this point should be to convincingly, overwhelmingly even beat each other and claim that title.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do a Sunday show with Armada on, I would love to get each of them, if we can, and just ask them, you know, what does it mean for you? I think that would be super cool.
Yeah, if we could.
Because it's tough to speculate too much, right? I don't want to get... I think Kat just nailed it, right? It depends on each person, and, you know... I think it would be fun to speculate a little bit, right? So we had a top 5, an indisputed top 5. All right, Armada quit. Hungrybox's response was to quit. And
was it? Did he say that?
I think he retired, dude. I heard he's retired.
I didn't hear that.
He hung up his GameCube controller.
I did not hear that.
All right, we have to confirm that. Maybe I'm telling tales out of school. Alex,
I don't think that hurts anything that much, to be honest.
Came back.
No offense to Hungrybox. It's just... Never mind. Move on.
I think the Hungrybox played amazing at Apex. And then M2K, who has been somewhat vocal about this, and it seems like he really wished that he could play him again. And, you know, it's kind of hurt his motivation. Mango, I don't know what he thinks.
You
know.
Who can fathom the mind of Mango?
And that's everybody, right? Oh, and PP and Cactuar has confirmed that you know, PP is still still in it to win it, and he wants to pick up the crown. And we're kind of defining the crown as you need to convincingly beat the rest of the top players in a sort of sustainable way, or a way where sort of we assumed that the person who would be in winners in grand finals was going to be Armada, sort of have that dominance.
Right.
I mean, above that, the dream, though, is to crush everyone else so overwhelmingly and to be able to just call out and say Armada needs to come back. But even then... But even then, even if he does come back, I mean, there's always the chance that he'll just be a shadow of his former self, and that's not what anybody wants to see.
It's only amazing if he wins, if he comes back and wins. And it's like, oh, Armada!
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of the kind of scenario.
So, and then one last question, and we're gonna bury this Armada topic. What are the implications for the international scene? This is a concern of mine. You know, Apex can be billed as a legitimate international tournament because a top 5 player, you know, a favorite player is coming to America, right? And this is an international competition. Now, I don't think that changes when we have, you know, other top players. You know, Leffen did extremely well, and Javi did extremely well. Gucci did extremely well, so on and so forth, right? But does this change our ability to say that we're like a really international community?
I mean, the issue there is that there isn't another proven top 5 player in the international community other than Armada. So I do worry about their motivation to come here and try and prove themselves, especially because the U.S. is kind of like notorious for not wanting to go anywhere else and play. I mean, 2K went over to Japan, but he did that for Brawl and just kind of played Melee on the side and clearly wasn't on point when he was over there for Melee. So
yeah, and also when PP went to Smashers Reunion. But like you said, you know, there is it seems like right now the United States is really feeding off the world. Like they're going to our stuff, our majors, and we really aren't showing that equal support. And I think that's definitely a legitimate concern.
I think a lot of that also, though, is going to be up to us to be excited about those other players who could possibly contend with our top 5. Because, I mean, Gucci did do really well.
Yeah.
And Cruz, he did really well. He came out of nowhere and just kneed the hell out of Ice Climbers. Nobody was expecting him to be that on point versus that character. Javi just has done well at the past Apex, has done well at this Apex. I mean, he lost to some matchups that he obviously doesn't have experience in, but... I mean, Leffen also doing well. But he lost to Javi. Why do we want to see that? We want to see Leffen playing against other U.S. guys.
Yeah.
So, again, it's going to be up to us to bring that hype, to get them excited to play us, for us to be excited to play them.
True. True.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
but I also think it's possible that the European scene might get a little more competitive now because it's possible that a lot of them just kind of took first place to be Armada for granted, and now they have a lot of motivation, more so than probably the U.S. does, to figure out who's the new number one in that region.
The new Euro champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a really cool idea, and hopefully it does affect their community as you've described.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then the question of Beast is still up in the air. I think that there was some possibility of a non-zero U.S. attendance, maybe even up to like 10 people or so. I was considering going, but I think that if Mango and M2K don't want to go, then it doesn't make any sense at all for me to go. So we'll see. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it for Armada. Hopefully we can get him on our show soon. We'll have to do it in a way that accommodates his schedule, and we'd also love to talk to some top players about how they feel in the wake of his departure. But now is the time to get our good friend FullMetal on the show and talk to him a bit about Apex. FullMetal, I hope you're ready. I'm about to ping you on Skype and add you to our lovely Melee It On Me show.
Yes.
Wow.
Yo, I love that guy.
Skype is freezing. Oh my god. Why is this happening?
I'm alive.
Yeah, we're all still in. You're just having issues over there. Do you want me to...
Dude, I'm like definitely going to hang up on you guys by accident. I actually can't see what's going on. Okay, I got it.
Oh my god.
Alright.
No, not that one. This one. Alright, I'm just going to drag him on. Hopefully he's listening.
He seems to be connected.
Indeed.
Hey!
What's up, dude?
Hey guys.
Hello.
What is good, my man? FullMetal. Welcome to Melee It On Me.
Why, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, another friend without a webcam. It's just me. It's really
No, I have a
cool,
webcam.
dude.
I don't have a Skype Premium.
Wow, I don't think you need to.
Yeah, I
really?
don't think so.
I have Skype Premium, and I'm the call master.
And I was that one time that I used my laptop with my cam. I was able, I think, to get on, right?
Absolutely, you
Yes,
were.
you were.
Yeah. All right.
So,
So-
FullMetal, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay.
How is life after Apex?
It's been a little hectic. There's been some stuff to clean up, some PR work to be done. Trying to find out what everybody's feedback was. You know.
Yeah, for sure. So
You're in Georgia somewhere, right? Where is
Yeah,
it
I'm
specifically?
just outside of Atlanta.
Okay. I actually used to live in Tucker, if you know where that is.
I do actually. That's not too far
Yeah.
from.
Good
Cool.
Sheridan. Look how worldly this man is.
I know. Never pass up a chance to let people know.
So FullMetal, we brought you on because we wanted to talk to you a little bit about Apex and your experience running Melee. So you're one of the only people to have actually run like a 300+ man singles and teams tournament in one weekend. I'm not sure how many people actually have done that. We just want to hear about your experiences. Maybe you could talk about some of the feedback that you got. Just take us through your experience.
Okay. Well, overall, undertaking the tournament was a big responsibility. I mean, that goes without saying almost. But I liked how we were organized this year a lot better than the past year. I think Apex is a work in progress. Even though we're already at such a high standard, I think we just want to keep pushing it. Getting all the kinks ironed out.
Yeah. What were some kinks last year that you guys worked out?
There was a pretty big problem in Apex 2012 with knowing where recording setups were.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was trying to call matches, and Sheridan was actually assisting me.
Yeah.
He and I were both working on it. And we were trying to figure out where to call matches that were hype, people wanted to see, and we couldn't get a count on how many recording setups we had, or where they were, which TVs they were on, which ones were functional. So that mess got cleaned up a little better this year. We had a better idea of where we could send people to get their matches recorded.
Very cool. And what do you think about kinks that remain unworked?
I've got a couple of things actually that I wanted to talk about as far as how I think that we at Apex can improve and I myself can improve.
Lay it on me.
First of all, okay. First of all, I wanted to address the time changes that I made to the pools and the waves. I know a lot of people were upset with that.
We were pissed. Don't understate it. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so a lot of people were hating on me pretty hard for it. I'll just man up, take the bullet for that one. That was my call. I wanted to get the tournament going more quickly, so we'd have time for the USA versus the World crew battle. And I figured doing 4 waves in like pool sets of 8 was kind of ridiculous when we had enough TVs to do 3 waves of 10 and 11. And I did try to allow some leniency for the people that were late and unaware of the changes. So now next year we're going to be more clear about when the waves are going to be, which pools will be called. So there's no like last minute switch ups and people end up getting mad because they get DQ'd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that the schedule that you ended up switching to was the best option.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that it had to get switched to that at such a late time. But I definitely think that that was and I think actually with more coordination that you'll be able to have at future Apexes, you can even do significantly better than that schedule. Because I believe you had something like 3 hours allowed for each wave, and I think you can even run them in 2 hours each.
Oh yeah,
especially with the bracket pools. But yeah, I don't blame you given the fact that you're probably were a bit understaffed and trying this new thing to, allow for that extra breathing room.
Hey, so can I ask a follow-up question? So I'm just going to ask. I'm not even going to wait for you to say yes.
Sure.
So and regarding the schedule, right? I agree that 3 waves seemed super good. You made it happen. What was the discrepancy between the estimated time that bracket pools would finish and the actual?
Well, I ended up allotting about 3 hours for each wave to finish, which I think was probably more time than was needed.
Yeah.
But given the fact that I know I had made such a late change,
right.
I was trying to give people more time to show up.
Yeah.
More time to get information by word of mouth if they didn't have access to, any of the internet sites that I posted the information on, like the Apex site, Facebook, Smashboards, and all that.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, and then don't let me interrupt you. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I also wanted to touch real quick on the question that I've heard the most is the bracket pools versus round robin.
Yeah. And
I had a couple thoughts on that. I wanted to put out there for people to think on. Basically, from a purely TO perspective, bracket pools and the way we did them was not even true bracket pools. But that was like a TO's wet dream. It was so easy, made running the tournament like nothing. Now, granted, I can't look at this from just a TO's point of view. I'm also a player. I love the game, enjoy the tournaments. So, I understand everyone's complaints that they wanted round robin. That's, clearly what the majority of people said they wanted to happen. I think, honestly, a lot of that goes back to the community. If people want round robin, we need people to step it up. We need more setups and TVs provided. I'd be more than happy to run round robin at future Apexes if we can get enough setups in.
Do you think that that's the main reason why we can't, or why it would be more difficult to do round robin, is purely a TV and kind of issue?
I think it's just more of like a stretch on time, because we are on such a tight schedule, running a huge tournament with that many players. And round robin, while it does give players who are perhaps not top seeded more chances to play matches against players who are top seeded so that they can improve, it's just such a headache as far as running the tournament, getting everything done in a timely fashion, getting all the results recorded. And plus you have to hunt down players multiple times if somebody goes on break. But I mean, overall, I enjoy the experience of round robin, and I think that it's a good experience at a tournament of any size.
Yeah. Hey, Sheridan, you think that we could do the math on this and come up with the optimal number of people per pool or something like that?
It depends. I mean, you have to say what you're trying to achieve.
So if we we start out, we know Apex 2013 is coming. You know, Alex does a great job with pre-registration and closing it early, and I'm sure that he has a list of how many setups are there. Could we do a time analysis based on how many setups we have, how many people have entered, and the average time it takes to complete a set, and kind of come up with an optimized plan? I'm sure they did some.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I've. This is something that I go through every time I run something bigger than our local tournaments. So I feel pretty well versed in the time aspect of all this stuff. At that Kings of Cali tournament, I advised them about what kind of tournament they were able to run with the amount of time that they had remaining, because it was looking like it was going to run late, and we ended up pretty much finishing right on schedule. So
I do remember that.
Yeah, so obviously bracket pools is definitely faster and less work for the TOs. But as FullMetal said, I agree that the experience of round robin is, I think it's better for most of the players. Some people will disagree and say that more friendly time is better, but I guess that's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
So my opinion is that I would like to see round robin done if the staff setup time situation makes it viable. If you're not sure, then you probably have to take the safe option and just run bracket pools. And I would have liked to see round robin, but I don't blame Apex for doing bracket pools given what they were trying to achieve and how many people were signed up for that. One other criticism that I thought maybe you could address, FullMetal, is that during teams, and I think during the early part of the singles bracket, it seemed like a lot of people were waiting 2.5 hours for their second or third match. So was that result of understaffing, or how do you have anything to say about that? Were you aware of that criticism at all, or?
No, I hadn't caught word of that back yet, but I do recall thinking back and looking. I've had several players approach me several times throughout the day, be like, "Hey, when's my match? Can I go get food? Blah blah blah." So I definitely think that I could do a better job at scheduling which matches are played when, so that you don't have players sitting around, letting themselves get unwarmed up, before they have to play. Because obviously, that's a big issue for a lot of the top players, people who come to tournaments expecting to place well, to do well, and I don't want to be the reason that they underperform. Hey, I had to wait 3 hours and then had to go play a really tough match and I wasn't warmed up. So that's something I personally take responsibility for.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, I can sympathize with you about how just it can be really frustrating when a lot of people come up and ask you about, do I have time for lunch? Do you know when my next match is going to be? So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Anything else that you want to talk about, FullMetal or Prague or Cactus or Sheridan?
I wanted to know, FullMetal, whether you thought you had enough people just kind of to do the job that you needed to do. Because it seemed like you and who was that?
Maria?
Sure. Yeah, Maria were just really busy and kind of a little bit on edge all day. And I thought, I wasn't sure if that was the result of external stress or just you guys having to do too much. So, I don't know. Do you think more people would have helped, or was it just
yeah, absolutely. Like as far as just manning the TO station, making sure everything runs smoothly, matches are called in timely fashion, scheduled to the right TVs. Maria and I were more than enough to do that, but I would have liked a lot more runners. That was one thing that we had at Apex 2012, was we had more runners. We had like 10, 13 runners. This year I had maybe 3. And I want to give shout-outs to Ripple for all the help that he gave, and to Will. I don't know his smash tag, but just Will was like the most amazing runner I've ever had. Dude was all over the place.
Yeah, definitely. It's always great when there's somebody hanging out that you can just ask for, for a quick favor to check on something. And yeah, I definitely agree that at the previous year's Apex, I always felt like there was somebody nearby that I could ask for, like you're saying, like just to be a runner for something real quick. So I think, definitely if you've only got 3 people, then it puts a lot more stress on the TOs. Not just in terms of the amount of work, but you gotta stop what you were doing, go check on this thing. Somebody's got to cover you. Then you come back and you lose your focus and all that. So definitely, I sympathize with you on that.
I mean, I think that's something that we can improve upon next year, just having more dedicated runners, volunteers, staff, whatever you want to call them, just more people to be there to actually help the gears grind that, move the tournament forward. Because I was definitely a little bit stressed out. I wouldn't say that it was due to anything other than just I was so busy. I have a million people asking me questions, and I want to try and make all of them happy. But, I think I've let several players' complaints and needs slip through the cracks because I was so busy. And that's something I'd like to try and improve on in the future.
Okay, very good.
Hey, before we get off of this subject, I mean, Sheridan, you kind of talked about this and how it's difficult to give that time frame when players do ask for when their next match is going to be. And I know we've said we want to do better on that, but do we actually have an idea of how to do better with that?
Well, it's when you have a really big bracket, I think it's difficult because you especially in the early rounds, because you're kind of just going down the whole bracket, and it's a little difficult to get a real estimate. But actually, I think part of the reason that Evo does bracket pools is precisely that, so they can run small contained chunks of the bracket at defined times in defined places. So unless it's really hard to do that precisely unless you do bracket pools down to a smaller bracket. The other thing you can do is, I think, if you, well, it's really hard to schedule. You have to know exactly how many TVs you have and how many matches you're calling, and not all the matches get started at once, and you're constantly switching between losers and winners bracket. So the only thing I could suggest to do is, within your first, if you have a large bracket, then usually there should be a pretty good amount of time between your first loss and your next match after that. That's really the only general, I think, thing you can use to get an estimate. Otherwise, it's difficult to really nail it down.
Yeah.
I agree.
Very challenging. It continues to be a challenge, but we will figure it out. That's my feedback. What do you think about that?
That's something I feel that we should talk to Neil about, because I feel like I haven't seen recent TO, but is there a way for TO to be exporting all of the bracket matches that can happen based on what matches have completed already, and just kind of put those into an order so that the TO can look at that list and say, oh, well, that match is, say, 35th on the list, so you have estimated amount of time based on how many matches are there. But
that's a great idea.
You mean kind of like a priority list?
Yeah, basically.
A feature request.
Right.
Yeah, that's like a function TO already provides in a sense, in that if you mouse over a match, it'll tell you how long that match has been waiting to play. But, you know,
I mean, that doesn't
would
tell
be
you
much
where it
better.
is on the list of how many other matches there are before that one, though.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a great idea. Because, I mean, TO does provide a estimate of how long it's going to take to run the tournament and how long it's been since each match has been called and all that, but it doesn't give you that clear list that you can use. And I think that would be a cool feature.
yeah, I mean, that's just a really difficult thing to do as an individual or as a TO, but if you have the logic set up in a program to do it for you, I mean, that just might be very helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Cool. FullMetal, hey man, thanks so much for coming on. Do you have any shout-outs or any last words?
I just want to give shout-outs to everyone who attended Apex 2013. You guys made it an awesome tournament. I was just a kid yelling on the mic. So I hope to see you all next year, and maybe if I get some time off from work, I'll actually get to play at a tournament. I played a total of 3 friendlies at Apex 2013.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, I had fun playing you in our bracket pool. It was enjoyable.
Oh, absolutely. You beat the shit out of me. I can't wait to do it again.
And I had fun
I
playing
think-
you in singles.
Weren't we all in the same pool in Apex 2012?
Yeah,
I think
you
it
and I
was
were in the
me,
same-
FullMetal Cactuar, and somebody else.
It's
Prague.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should have been Prague, but I
Yeah.
don't think it was.
Missed
It was
opportunity.
me.
Definitely a missed opportunity. Well, hey, thanks again, FullMetal. It was great having you on.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
I
Pleasure
feel like
being
I should
Pleasure,
play the
man.
song to play you out. Alright, I'll see you, dude.
No.
All right, thanks.
Wait, why not? It's sick. Alright,
No.
alright, whatever, dude. And Prague, did you want to comment on, so something that I wanted to bring up, maybe I should have kept FullMetal on or not, was just the commentary situation. You know, how were the commentators decided? And I just wanted a little bit more information about it.
That's a very good question.
You don't know the
I
answer?
don't know the answer. No.
Okay.
I
figure.
know that there was a list of commentators a few months ahead of schedule. And I know, like, not all of them end up being on the mic. Because, I mean, it's difficult when, you know, I was on the setups maybe 8 hours the entire day. Didn't get to move to eat or anything. And we actually, like, had, I didn't think the twins were on that list of commentators, but they ended
Right.
up stepping in on occasion. But honestly, you know, I'm not quite sure what the entire selection process was.
All right. Well, we'll get Alex on soon, and we'll have him talk about it. But for now, let's keep
will we
going
have time
forward
for
with
that?
our agenda.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah,
just move forward.
Probably
for now.
in like an
For
after show or
Collins.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Right.
Yeah, the only
Right.
reason I mention is because there's some people that we know are fantastic commentators who have like a proven record, Lovage being one of them. And, you know, I would have loved to have had him on the mic. I think that, you know, a lot of our commentators did a great job. You know, there's personal preference involved, but I think that sort of objectively we can say that there are some people who are, you know, amazing that it would have been great to have them on.
Sure.
Definitely.
So, the Apex commentary can be put to rest. Let's move on
However,
to...
actually, before we move on, I just want to say
Sorry, go ahead,
shouts to
Rob.
everyone that did commentate, especially to Wobbles, who I felt should have gotten a couple more sets. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. So, moving on, the next item on our agenda is EVO 2013. I'm going to go to the full screen view. Let's take a look. So there is a really cool website programmed by no one knows. It is evo8thgame.host22.com, and it aggregates in a nice table, which is sortable in only 2 ways, but that's really all you need. That displays the current standings of all the games. I don't know how often it refreshes, but here's where we are. Shout-outs to everybody who watched and donated last week. We had an incredible donation drive. Here is the end result. We started at $3,822 and ended at an incredible $13,151, including the match. We donated almost $10,000, $9,329. I don't know why I said almost $10,000, but you know, whatever. It's over $9,000, and that is one of the big reasons why we have a convincing lead over Skullgirls. So thank you guys. You did an amazing job, and it's awesome to see what we can do. So that said, there are some updates regarding this this donation drive. So I haven't been keeping tabs on our competition, but I think almost everybody knows that that Skullgirls is our #1 competitor. They currently have almost $7,000, and they also have a donation drive going on. I think sometime later this week, where
I think it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
yeah.
Where they're planning. They have a match of 3,300, maybe more. So if they get that much in community donations, they'll have effectively donated about $7,000 to the pot, which will basically tie us up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we have like a larger community than them, so it may be difficult for them to raise as many grassroots dollars. It may be challenging for them, but best of luck. I hope that they challenge us, and of course I hope that we win.
Yeah, and the more challenge they give us, the more money that the charity's going to get.
Absolutely, which is a win-win. So I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about what we're doing in response, because of course we have a plan. And I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about what we can expect going all the way out to January 29th, which is when the drive ends. If anybody has any clarity with regards to whether it's the morning of the 29th or at midnight or 11:59 or what, let's figure that out. I don't know how we will, but Prague, do you have any idea how we can ask Mr. Wizard, like, hey man, what are the actual rules here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll figure it out. We'll see. So does anybody have any additional information about what any of our competitors are doing, or did we cover it?
Well, in addition to what you guys said, one thing that those guys are taking advantage of is they have a huge Tumblr following. So a few major Tumblrs have gotten a lot of responses in terms of just promoting it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. We don't have a huge Tumblr presence, but
no.
We do have
a sick podcast.
That's right. We have a sick podcast.
We have theme music.
Maybe we should get on some kind of social media, but I know that Sheridan's not all about that.
You think you can get into it, man? I'm not going to stop anybody, but no, I don't have time for that crap.
Well, we have a sick Facebook influence, but it's all in our little group. Like it's not a tool to reach out.
Uh-huh.
All right. So yeah, then I wanted to highlight some things going on, some potential, I guess, opportunities. So one big cool thing, Prague, do you want to talk a bit more about Maximilian?
Oh,
you know
so
more than I do.
For all of you aspiring Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 players who are familiar with the Assist Me series, Maximilian is the head of that series. He's done great production work, and his whole goal is kind of bridging the beginning player, that medium player, to becoming a good player. Maybe not the upper echelon, but giving them the tools that they'll need to get there.
I see.
So he's done those series, and this week he's doing like a week of Smash. I think it's just been like free-for-all casuals and things of that nature.
Yeah. So I have a video. I have a video on the stream right now, and I actually watched this at work today. And this match in particular is so hype. So I want everybody.
Yeah, I remember watching it, but I didn't realize that the goal of his channel was that to get, to people to improve. Because this just seemed like more of a let's play, let's fuck around than anything else. So I wasn't, having seen that, I wasn't sure how we fit in to there, because I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I actually have a connection, thanks to the production world, with a friend of mine who has worked on a few of his videos before, and he is going to be passing along Scar's email. Because he is based in California, we're trying to go ahead and get some California Smasher perhaps to kind of say, we appreciate what we appreciate the exposure, but at the same time, do you know about our tournament scene? And maybe one of us can guide you through it. So.
And I hope somebody's. By the way, I hope we're all watching this match. Dudes get really intense.
I had to turn it off. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Prague. I cut you off.
Good.
I was also going to say thanks for the exposure. And do you know about our tournament scene? How about that? It's a one improvement.
In addition, yeah.
Okay. Because I had been pretty skeptical of it earlier because it just seemed like a guy who was in the fighting game scene playing Smash, and I didn't really see how that, I don't want to just ingratiate ourselves just to a bunch of people just for the sake of exposure, but given that he has this mission of, getting people to improve, then I definitely think it fits in, and, our goals are not too dissimilar. So I think that's a cool idea, and I'd like to hear more about your connection there, Prague.
The connection, I think, is going to be calling him tomorrow. So, Scar, expect an email or something.
Absolutely, my friend. And also, think about, the immediate benefit. Imagine if somebody were there right now. They could say, hey, listen, I bet you didn't know this, but, this is Daisy playing Poop Shit Mario right now. There's, a really insider thing that would be so useful to share with the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Does everybody know about... Sorry, go ahead.
The only thing, I would just be a little bit worried about somebody being somebody being a little bit too maybe elitist and condescending if they came on. I just want to make sure that something like that doesn't happen, and we send a message of really trying to improve people instead of just saying, oh, look, our tournament scene's actually legit, and if you can't see that, you're stupid, or something like that. Make sure we do it really constructively.
You have to have the right presentation.
I'm not sure, man. I think that's a great idea. Let's just say, hey, Maximilian, dude, you guys are playing casuals. You're dumb. We're cool. We're out. Drop the mic. Drive home. That sounds like
Pause the game. Unplug your controller.
Yeah. So anyway, hey, by the way, mods, please help me out and link this video every once in a while. Let's. I would love if we could give him, our full support and just, click that link really quick, like it, share it if you want. But just pressing that thumbs up could be kind of cool. And I made a few comments saying, thanks for the exposure, so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, anything more to say about that, or because I wanted to. This guy in the Melee at Ami thread named Renegade made a few posts just kind of speculating, but just kind of, I think, give a dose of what he feels is realism to the expectations of our community for what we can expect at EVO. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Do you have any posts prepared?
Yeah. Let me say
really quickly before we. I can just show it on my screen, so you can just link it in chat.
Okay.
If you're in the chat. One thing that I wanted to say was, to keep our momentum and our lead in this donation drive, it'd be fantastic to. Somebody posted a Renegade post. Thanks, Atlas. It would be fantastic if we can get, perhaps any of our favorite YouTube bloggers or general bloggers or anybody who has an online presence and has some connection to Melee or has some connection to you. It would be great if we can share this opportunity to donate with them, and hopefully they can help us out. That would be really cool. And if you don't know how to get in touch with somebody, but you do have a favorite, feel free to reach out to any one of us and we can help you out with it. So that said, I'm going to go to full screen and we can talk about first the posts that Sheridan put up. Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah. He made several posts, but this is I think one that summarizes a few things we can talk about. So, I think it's important for people to read his posts and not be dismissive of them, and just try to understand what he's saying, because I don't think he's probably right in saying that if we get to EVO. We're not going to. This isn't going to be us running our tournament in their building, right? this is going to be them. They're going to provide probably most of the staff. They're going to kind of dictate the boundaries of what kind of tournament we can have. They're going to tell us, what's our time constraints and things like that. So, this is probably not going to be like a Apex or a Genesis. It's likely going to be, we'll have to work around what kind of space, what kind of TVs, the number of TVs that we get, the amount of time that we get. I would probably go in expecting, bracket pools, and things like that, and not expect a whole bunch of friendly time, while the tournament's going on. So I think, definitely read this post. So I think it's probably a little more pessimistic than I would say, but definitely try to understand it.
Yeah.
I mean, we also have to remember that they made us do best of 1 sets last time we had.
Yeah.
Like, that's. I don't know, man.
Yeah. Well, so but that's not to say that that's going to be the situation this time, and I question whether or not that changes our course of action. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. So
yeah, I think that if there's no immediate change to how we act now, then it's sort of it's kind of an issue that we could table until we know that we're even going.
Right, and I think this is part of why I wanted to ask Ski Sonic in the last the last episode. I wanted because we had those concerns, and I wanted to see how much had changed from EVO from then until now, and I think now they have kind of that set of the 8 main games, and they kind of know what to expect in terms of time and TVs and setups and all that.
Yeah.
So I think they'll allow us to run our own rule set, but we will have to tailor that to the time that they give to us. The thing that I'm really not sure on is how much of the Melee TO community is going to be a part of their staff,
right?
Because they may not have a lot of people that understand our rule set and know how to do stage bans and striking and all that.
Yeah.
So this is one of the points that Renegade makes, is that if EVO intends to use their staff for our tournament, then it may be a more simplified version of our rule set. So
right.
That's something that once we figure out the results of this drive, that we should engage them about this kind of as a first priority.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said, Sheridan, and also something you said earlier about one of the big points that Renegade makes is that we need to acknowledge, or perhaps it behooves us to acknowledge, that this is going to be a different tournament experience.
Yes.
My reaction to that is very much addresses this, some of the ideas about why EVO might not be, great for us, and that is that this is an opportunity that they're providing for us, right? First of all, we need to make it in, so that's like priority 1, and everything else is kind of subsequent. But also, they're providing us with something that we very much want. And it's not entirely not in their interest. I would assume that they want us to succeed, because the more we succeed, the more EVO succeeds.
True.
So that said, I think that we need to acknowledge on our side that it's going to be a compromise. And while they have all the power in running this tournament, we have an amount of influence that aligns with their interests. So point being, Sheridan hit the nail on the head, IMO, which is that we need to engage them and work together. And depending on how receptive they are to working together, we can make more or less progress. But I'm definitely committed to working very hard to get their attention, and to work with them and make sure that they know that what we're interested in is the success of EVO, and having Melee use that platform effectively. And I don't think that there's any reason to assume that they wouldn't be receptive to that. I think that they're giving us a great opportunity. I'm extremely thankful for it. I hope that the majority opinion is that we're thankful for it at this time. And, I would prefer to give them the benefit of the doubt and only sort of be defensive and, defensive or aggressive towards them if they, don't accommodate us or go out of their way to like give us the shaft or something, which I wouldn't assume that they would do.
Right. Yeah. We just, we're gonna have to make compromises.
Yeah.
And let's not get indignant because we didn't get to have our Apex or Genesis in Evo's room, right? Let's not expect everything. Let's not make unreasonable demands on them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think another thing is that we should. I know I get on the pedestal a little bit, or the soapbox, but that's just what I do, I guess, sometimes. We're all gamers, and we're all in it to see esports and 2D fighters and so on and so forth succeed. And I think that it's tough if we get into this mentality of like us in our grassroots tournaments, and then Evo, this big tournament that may or may not care about us. FGC, who's a community that may or may not care about us. We actually, Skeet Sonic even said it. Skeet Sonic. We're all FGC. We're all gamers. We have the similar, if not the same, experiences in a lot of cases. And I think that if our goal is to see our community thrive, it is in our interest to work together, and it's not in our interest to be punks about it or brats about it.
Yep.
Or what's a good word for like isolating ourselves? Insular? Peninsular? Are either of those words?
Well, yeah, insular is a word.
Yeah, let's be homies. We are homies, right? So,
yeah.
That's my opinion on the entirety of that conversation, so I can stop talking now. Anything else on Evo from any of the homies? Alright, so we'll move on to doubles. We are officially out of time for our 1 hour episode, but we have done a much better job than in the past because we got through 3 items already.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk about doubles real quick or get call-ins? I would love to get Alucard on.
I think maybe this should we save for the next time.
Yeah? Alright.
That's my opinion, but
we can do that.
I'm cool with whatever you guys think.
Cactuar, Prague, what do you guys think?
Prague.
No
you want to go first?
If Alucard isn't here, yeah.
He's here. He could be our first call-in, and we could just talk quickly about teams.
Sure, that sounds like a fun.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so Alucard, you're going to be our first call-in, and then we are going to move to other call-ins, and we'll save the meat of the team's chat for later. How do I get? What is going on? Hang on, I'll get it. There it is. Alu, can you message me on Skype real quick? Brian Garcia. I don't think he added me. Alright, so then we could take other call-ins.
Yeah, let's move to our...
I think I got it. Can I do this?
As a Falcon player, how do you feel about teams?
Dude, I'm terrible at teams. I wish that I was better at it. I think that I would love it if we had more like informed or... Okay, so actually this leads back to an issue that I desperately want to talk about, which is commentary. Okay, so spoiler alert. Oh, you can pull him in?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So I actually wrote in the Google Doc some ideas for next episode. I would love for future episodes to have 2 topics. 1, what makes a great tournament? 2, what makes great commentary? Those are both extremely important to me, and I think that if our commentators were well educated with regards to teams, it would be an opportunity for me to learn more about like how to think about it. Oh, what is going on? Al, are you in here, dude? I can kind of hear you.
Yo.
Hey.
Yo, Core Life. And DJ's with me.
Wow.
You don't want to talk to him. Get him out of there.
What's
I'm
up,
just kidding,
guys?
DJ.
You are our first call-in on episode 5 of Melee It On Me. You were specifically interested in talking to us about teams.
Yes, sir.
So give it to me, guys. You know, you're both well-known teams players representing East Coast. You know, West Coast is pretty good at teams too, so we have plenty of reps too. But you know, tell us about your experience playing teams on the East Coast. You know, what you love about it, what you prefer could be better.
All right, where do we start?
Character diversity.
Yeah, that's like probably the best thing about teams. 4 people and character diversity. Like, me and DJ have won no Johns in teams using Bowser and Fox. Like, you wouldn't be able to win a tournament with Bowser as easy as you would with, like, I don't know, Fox or Sheik or any other top tier. So, like, yeah, picking a character, I don't know how to explain it.
There are more characters that are viable in teams because there are more roles that you can play in teams as opposed to being a one-on-one powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, not only that, but Melee already has lots of options, and some of our low-tier characters can't cover a lot of options really effectively, but when you add in another character on their team, it changes the dynamics, and there's a lot more possibilities that open up that are super interesting and kind of unique to Melee.
Yeah, like, it's so good that's why Melee is awesome, because, like, it's 4 players. Like, you have 4 different people, 4 different minds trying to go for the same kind of goal, and it's like that's what differs us from a fighter. Like, that's the number one thing I always go to when somebody like, why do you used to play Melee? I'm like, yo, teams is ridiculous. You have no idea. You think you have to be on your feet in Marvel? You got to be on your feet in a 4-player game when Fox has like 1 frame. Well, I explain it to them like this: like, Shine is 1 frame, basically a Shoryu, and it's jump cancelable on whiff. And then every time every time I say that, like, yo, you could jump cancel this 1 frame like Shoryu move on whiff, and then they're like, on whiff? Why do you play that? That's crazy. Like, how do you react to that? I'm like, you don't know, man. That game's got like So they always
crazy, dude. That's a good way to put it.
I mean, that's really the thing that I like most about teams is like. I like the challenge of looking at like a really complicated situation, and you got to make a really quick decision about what your next move is going to be. So you got to know a lot about teams. You got to know a lot about how, what each other player is trying to do, what your teammate wants you to do, what your opponents don't want you to do. To make the correct decision, and that's like I just love that kind of challenge. Being thrown at you for 3 minutes.
Or like when you know your team's partner for so long, like me and DJ, like we literally, like, when we're in like tight situations, we already know what's gonna happen, what the other person's gonna do. So you do like sick team combos, and it doesn't even have to be a 2v1 team combo. It can be seriously right then and there with all 4 people on the screen.
Yeah.
So, it's awesome.
So there's something that I very, very vividly remember from being a new player in Melee that I'd love to hear you guys comment on. So I remember going to my first national, FC Diamond, and I know that Cactus, do you remember? Does anybody remember what the finals teams were?
Dude, I didn't sleep at all that weekend. I don't remember
M2K
anything.
and maybe even you, Cactus, or maybe it was M2K and PC, or PC and Court versus M2K and somebody else, maybe Chew. Does that sound right?
No idea.
Point being, okay, I'm a new player, and I had an expectation that, perhaps my region would have teams. My region was like the 10 players that I played with, and other regions would have their own teams. And it very much intimidated me to learn that teams that enter are kind of like, it seems, or at least in the East Coast in 2009, that M2K, the best player, would pick the second best player in team with him. And so now there's this power level and skill gap for new players, and even for mid-level players in singles that is effectively doubled in teams. There are certain exceptions to that rule, but when you're new to the game, there's that kind of power gap that comes when 2 good players team with each other. So is there any... I feel like there's something to be said for PP and Lozer, who of course are the best in their regions, but even at nationals, when PP could team with anybody he wants, more or less, he continues to team with his longtime partner, and the emphasis is more on teams played than it is on the best singles players in teams. So, what are our thoughts on that? Because, I think I share what my thoughts are, but...
I can kind of respond to the M2K thing. M2K, a lot of situations...
I'd like to keep it M2K neutral if possible.
This isn't negative towards him. It's just, his goal is always to win. So even at local events, he's still assembling the dream team of the local event, even when it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
So it's understandable that like you develop that fear seeing that in local play as opposed to at the national scale, where we do have teams that have been playing together, especially players in regions like if you look at Alukard. Alukard just has a tremendous amount of teams experience, and that's why he can speak with so much depth about it. those players just have a different type of awareness that they have that experience with. That, I mean, if they team with somebody who they've teamed with for a long time, they can make up that skill gap easily, just because they manipulate the stage better in a way that's more cohesive for teams.
Alucard, are you still there? I see a red.
Yeah, I also see that
I'm
red.
still here.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
It just means you can't do video, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just have it on my phone.
Yeah, so then there's that, and also I think that the perception of teams, at a player level, maybe not, for spectators, but at a player level, it has, for me, until I moved to the West Coast, really been like, let's get the 2 best singles players and play teams and just whoop them. You know what I mean? And I feel like if we had a culture that didn't think that way, or at least if it weren't spread to me, right, then maybe teams would be viewed differently. I've seen many examples of lower level players beating better, on paper singles player teams because they have better team chemistry and better team, experience or whatever it is. But that's like just not super common, and we don't talk about it like that often.
Yeah.
And we don't have steady teams partners in general. Is there anything to be
teams
done
in
about
general
that?
is just not talked about as often. I mean, even if you look at the view counts for teams' videos online, they just don't stack up anywhere close to being that of singles.
Yeah.
So again, it's just a long-term mindset thing that has been there. Like, we do have a lot of players who do appreciate the intricacy of teams, but yeah, it's just the community as a whole. It's not there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Alu, does it sound cool to you if, like, we kind of try to make that investment and sort of on the commentary side and on the team's player side, if we just think about and post more about what it is to be good at teams, and what strategies are really powerful, is that something that we should do more of?
Yes.
Is that something that you would do?
Yeah, that's something me and DJ were really going to talk about. I don't know if you're part of the NYC Smash group.
Yeah.
But Benny and DJ are planning on doing like a tag team.
Like streaming training sessions.
Yeah,
pretty much.
streaming training sessions, and like pretty much talking about the game in another way that anybody can understand, not just Smashers. Maybe somebody from the FGC, maybe somebody that just wants to play the game for the first time.
Yeah.
That's something I actually wanted to go back to, but I didn't know if we wanted to continue talking about doubles. I do think it's worth it to make that kind of segue into just talking in a way that FGC players do understand, because that is often where the disagreements come. They just don't see our game in a way that they can really comprehend. But I mean, Alucard earlier talked about how he discussed that with another player.
Yeah.
It's the one frame Shoryu that you can jump cancel on with. They understand it because you're speaking in terms that they get. That's something that we should be making an effort to do.
Alu, I could actually just have, like, if you were willing to sit here for 10 minutes and just talk about Melee in FGC terms, I would have so much fun. I would just sit here and listen.
Definitely.
You just bathe me.
We're planning on doing that with DJ and Benny and stuff. I mean, I'm gonna be with them, but I mean that's their idea pretty much. So I'm gonna let them rock, and then I'm just gonna be around. So if anything, if I can add to anything, I would. But
yeah, so I mean,
everything is an amazing idea because a lot of people, in my opinion, play Melee. A lot of the new guys play Melee really wrong. They don't have it like they don't have the luxury that we did back then when we didn't have. I mean, we had YouTube, but it wasn't tech skill that you were looking for. You were looking for.
Yeah.
Why did PC miss that dare on purpose and then grab him? And then he grabbed him again. Like, it was all mind games because we couldn't do all these fancy things because we didn't even know it existed in the game yet. So, we play with a more thoughtful process, and then they just spam tech skill and pray for a hit and then go on from there. And yeah, they just press buttons. And crouch cancel and press buttons. So it's like, there's the game from that. So. And I feel like a lot of people that are new are really good. It's just that they don't look at the game outside of like, but I saw in that combo video, you can kill off there.
They really lack like the fundamentals of the game, like what works and what doesn't work. They just keep on going and hope that stuff hits. And then,
they'll up throw at whatever percent. They don't even know the max cap of like Fox's up throw. He's just gonna do it and he's gonna go for up air. If it miss, he's gonna try to like follow up with nair. Like it's just they don't think about it.
Yeah. And the longer you spend, like, playing without that knowledge, the harder it is to really readjust, rewire your brain to play, with the correct fundamentals, like you're saying.
So I have two thoughts about that, right? So one is new players and the way that we play the game. I completely agree with you, and I think that it's probably an issue of education. Tech skill is something that you can practice in your room. Mind games are much more difficult, and strategic play is much more difficult to practice in your room. And it's also things that are kind of hit or miss, and if you have good strategical play on average, you'll beat the other guy. But especially at low levels, when people don't do predictable things, it's really, really difficult to understand what the metagame is when people are not playing in accordance with that metagame. So that's one thought. And I think that the answer to that is just, doing more videos and stuff, tutorials, ways to actually work through, high-level play, so on and so forth. The second thought is with regards to what DJ and Benny are doing. I think that's awesome, amazing, fantastic. The one criticism or commentary that I would have about it is, Alu, you kind of said, it's their idea, let's let them go. I have complete faith that you guys are going to do it, but the faster we can do stuff, the better. When we say let it rock, just fucking let it rock, dude. Start streaming right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Because I think that we have a ton of great ideas, but I don't see a ton of great ideas, a ton of great products being produced, or a ton of great things being created. And I know that we're capable of it, so we just have to kind of I feel like as a community, we can get out of the mindset of having these beautiful videos and just put stuff out and incrementally build up the production quality.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Two things.
Man.
Prague has a ton to say about production.
Word. I mean, with certain things, yeah. If it's going to be a series, by all means, how we started out, it was kind of just shooting from the hip. Where we end up, but we've improved with time. But again, it's a series. Right now, pardon me, Kirby Kaze actually is scripting the new version of the advanced how to play video. And I mean that we don't have to take our time with, because look at the longevity with Walk's video, because no one has done it. Yeah. Sure, it's kind of out of date now, but there's still a lot of pertinent information. So we have to be certain that something of that scale that ends up being fantastic. So big shout out to everyone that's working on that whole stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree, right? But just point being, we don't. If the end goal is to have this awesome, well-produced advanced how to play, I don't see any reason why we can't put out, 5 independent, poorly produced but effective, tutorial videos in the first week, and then a month later, this very well-produced video is out there. That's because it's for a different audience. Do you know what I mean? If we're trying to achieve a goal of educating new players, I'm not sure how much they care about the production, but if we're trying to when we're getting a ton of new players and we're really putting this in their face, or even better, trying to educate the greater FGC community, then you need to be more accessible. So it's not that production's not important, but there's a different purpose for each. If we're addressing the concern that Alukard brought up, which is that new players don't play a certain way, it's important to educate them. And then, there's another audience where they might not be interested in Smash. The production's going to catch them.
To me, this kind of brings up the issue, though, that it's not necessarily the videos that we're lacking. It's that when we do have new players, we have experienced players out there who are willing to play them, but then they sit down and then they autopilot and then they just destroy these new players without really giving them instruction as far as what they can be working on, what they should be working on, the obvious flaws that we see that allow us to punish them repeatedly, and even giving them homework to take with them that they should be practicing on their own. What specifically they should be looking for when they're trying to improve. And I feel like that's just a shortcoming as a community we have. It's not the videos. Because even if you give them videos to work off of, they're not going to be able to see from the outside with the eyes of an experienced player to be able to see that they are messing something up.
Yeah, so to respond to that, I think that it's probably true that the videos that we have are not super effective at getting that done, but if we actually take the time to talk to new players, we can figure out what videos need to be made to help them. I see a lot of pushback on some of the things that I'm saying, and I want to argue stuff right now.
Also, it's also at tournaments, when we do commentary, have the commentary be more about more with players that play the game a lot.
Yes.
Like you guys gotta have the top players commentate. Like, it doesn't matter if they don't want to. Like, yo, just ask them. Really, like, please, can you get on commentary? We need you to explain. You're like the best Sheik in the room, and this is Sheik in this matchup. You know what I mean? We need you to talk about it. We need you to go up there. Like, things like that, or like, cause when you have commentary, it's fine. Like, oh, you know, it's good commentary when they're saying like, yo, he did this, he did that, but it's also like. Sometimes they don't know that they could have done something better because he doesn't play the character, or like, you know, there was another option there, or like there's even options to like melee, like Fox covering 2 options on the ledge is like, you know, falling low and then rising up with Bear covers like the low recovery and the straightforward recovery. But a lot of people don't see that. They just see like, oh, he just did Bear because he just did Bear. You know, so there's a lot more to it.
True.
So here's what I'm going to do, Alucard. I'm going to do this. I just said it. I'm going to make sure at every major, well, let's start with Apex. We should get, I want to get, maybe not once per week, but let's get like a 6 set from a high level, you know, a high level match. Get one high level player to watch it with on the stream and like pause as we go and have them explain things. Because I think that bridges the gap, right? Because we have a ton of awesome, like incredible players who know a lot about the game, but that skill doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be a good commentator. Commentating is actually really difficult. You need a good eye for what to watch for. You know, I think a lot of the time, if you slow it down and you say, "Oh, hey, that's interesting," you know, let's stop and watch that.
No, yeah, you actually bring up a good point. That's even better than what I said. Honestly, for real.
Yeah,
that's way better.
Which is why I think people like Oscar and people like Bob Money are so valuable, because they can see that stuff as it's happening and talk about it articulately, but we don't have a million of those people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we have to figure out a way to pick a set. We need to get a set, and
well, I mean,
dude, I'm just gonna get Hack's money on. We'll just get Hack's money on versus Axe.
Yo,
that's an amazing set, right?
That set was ridiculous.
Dude, but that sucks for Axe, right? Because nobody knows how to beat Pikachu, and now Hack's gonna give us the Bible.
Well, with Falcon.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
All right.
All right. We're in there. I mean, yeah, I like that. I like that idea a lot.
Maybe Hack's
and that can also go for teams too, because then you can have the whole, since teams it is pretty hectic to keep your eye on everything, and not everybody can do that. So pausing it would allow the new players to understand the aspect of controlling your opponent and controlling space, pushing somebody to the other side, maybe like, or sandwiching an opponent too. Like that's probably the main things about teams that a lot of people don't do. They just one guy goes in, he got hit out. All right, my turn. I'll go in, run in, and press buttons. Like, that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to like make somebody feel like crap and spot dodge and roll and then punish together. And
all right, Alucard, homework for you. Find one team set with you and your favorite partner, and we're gonna do it. All right?
Oh, awesome. All right.
Plan what you're gonna say. We'll plan a Skype call. We'll broadcast it, and we'll release it on the stream and on YouTube, and people can. That'll be number one.
All right, no doubt.
So, okay, but then let me reinforce my point earlier. Like, point being, it probably won't be super well produced, and I think that's fine, because the point is to understand this stuff and educate people. And we could take that exact same video and build up the production in the meantime and then release it. But like, we missed out on so much when we take that. When it takes us 6 months to release this idea of a video. Like, if it's out tomorrow, now we've started to learn how to create an effective video. And I think that's really, really important. We don't know how to do all the stuff we want to do. We don't have the blueprints, and we need to release things faster so we learn what was good about that, what was bad about it. Lean. Hashtag it. Hashtag
all right. I'm all for this. I just let me know when.
I expect a message in my inbox after this cast is over. You tell me. Pick a set.
Alright. I mean, it's definitely going to be me and DJ, but
hell yeah,
I want a really good set. Not just us like destroying somebody. More, or maybe two sets. One of us destroying somebody to explain what you're supposed to do and how it goes perfect for you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Alright, Alu, I'm kicking you off. I think you already got DC'd. That's an amazing idea.
Cool.
All right, guys, we're gonna do it. So, do we want to do one more call-in? 7:30. I think that was about. Why don't we just do an after show? I'm gonna end it and then do an after show.
I am all right with that.
Yeah, and anybody can dip if they want.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I think it would also be great if just, you know, people in their local communities just took some initiative to do some little things like that, you know?
Yeah.
Even if it's not, you know, to the standard of Alucard and DJ, but, you know, just shows that people are interested in communicating this to everybody else.
How do we facilitate this stuff? You know what I mean? We hear great ideas so much. We have such a capable community. We have so many smart people who want to do stuff. But, like, you know, it just feels like things don't get done. So how do we help?
I think it's a matter of just, like, getting together and getting agreement on it, you know, just telling one another that we're going to do this, you know. Anybody, we can all talk about great ideas, but I just think it requires, you know, a little bit more coordination. And, you know, when you make a commitment to another person, it's I find it easier to follow through with that than when I make a commitment to myself or just say, this is something I want to do, you know? So I think, you know, getting people together and trying to agree on things, you know, kind of like we're doing here is a big step.
Yeah. Cactus, any thoughts on that question? How do we, like, enable people to actually carry out their ideas?
It depends on the idea. That's a vague statement to me. What is the idea that you want to carry out in particular, though? Is it just the videos? Is it just encouraging the community as a whole to be able to help each other improve, which is historically the problem we have? Yeah.
So, for example, like we did the fight card in NorCal, and I know that other people have had great ideas like, oh, hey, for example, how about the biggest missed opportunity of Apex 2013 IMO? The Johnny Kage, like, fight card.
Yeah.
I love Ganon Falcon. The majority of players love that matchup. Johnny is such an amazing personality.
I think
Kage's posts are, like, so well known. You know, he's such a big part of the community, and that's a match that everybody, I think, cares about.
Totally.
Everybody wanted it. You know, we talked about it even on this show. So how does it go from, you know, that idea to actually have happened?
Well, we should do it at the next opportunity, you know.
The next time those guys are in the same room.
That's all we could say.
Next time those guys are in the same room, we got that big-ass money match. We'll get it next time. G3! G3. Prague, any ideas? Any comments on?
I mean, if you have an idea and you're trying to get it out there, by all means, go for it. You know, a lot of great things in this community happen on a whim. It's just, can you carry it out? And if you can, by all means, go for it.
And get somebody, you know, get somebody else involved too.
Word. Like I was about to say, like if it's anything in terms of videos, things of that nature, I have like a 30-person team right now that's working on stuff, and it's all just being done out of love for the game and things of that nature. So if you're looking for that, you want to help or anything like that, more ideas, you know how to track me down. I'm easy to find.
Yeah. And, you know, of course, I don't want to plug myself. I know I do it enough, but there's two things that I'm really proud of that were sort of like that. One's the fight card, and the other was the Falcon round robin at pound 4. So, you know, that was one of the things where everybody was excited about it, and it, like, wasn't getting done, and I was kind of waiting for Plank to do it. But I think the bottom line for me is just, like, you just have to drive it yourself. You know, I remember being at Pound, I was like, hey, Plank, we're just going to do it, man. And Gimmer, or whoever was running VG Bootcamp at the time, was super receptive to it. They were right on it. You know, they set it up. And, you know, you just need to... each initiative should have one person or two people who are like, this needs to get done. You need a driver.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you know, we can go around the room. Any shout-outs, any last words? Thank you guys so much for joining me. Sheridan, what's up, man?
I just want to say that NorCal is pretty much the most amazing region in the entire world, and I love everybody in NorCal, especially Deep NorCal. We're one unit. That gives us our strength.
One unit, man. Cactus, any shout-outs, any last words?
No.
It's just perfect. Prague?
Get a big shout to everyone that did donations last week during the show. A shout out to the entire Melee production crew. And of course, a major shout out to Kirby Kaze. Advanced How to Play, hopefully by the end of February. We'll see.
Yeah, cool. And for my
Shout
part,
out to Megabus.
shout out to Megabus.
Shout out
Rod's
to
got that
Megabus.
Megabus image right there, all show. Yeah, for my part, shout outs to you guys. Thanks so much, Melee It On Me crew and viewers. You know, I echo Prague's statement. Last week was amazing. Let's keep it up. We're gonna do another episode. I feel bad to commit to it, but I know that we need to promote better. So this show we've had about 100 viewers steady, but last week we had upwards of 300 the whole time. And I think the difference was the marketing, and like we just got the word out really effectively. So I think what I want to do is another one on Sunday in the AM Pacific, which is like the afternoon Eastern. Not everybody has to be on. You know, we're probably just going to hang out. I'm probably going to be at a Smash Fest at the time anyway. So we're going to hang out, you know, do some cool stuff. I'm going to try to do another donation drive. It depends on, you know, how far Skullgirls gets and the rest of the competition. So yeah, keep looking out for that. You'll always find it in the Melee It On Me Facebook group. You'll always find it in the thread. So thanks again, guys. You know, you're the best. Let's go Melee. 1 unit.
1 unit.
Peace out.
Thanks, everybody.
Later, guys.
I wonder how smooth it was this time. It's really hard for me to play this video. 90-minute episode. Holla.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
Soon to be on iTunes. Shout outs to FullMetal for coming on.
I think I felt pretty good about it. You know, I think everything went pretty smoothly. I think I was pretty sick with it. I think we I don't know about you guys, but I